Hi, I'm Wayne Pinello, CEO of NextGen EMP, and you're watching Taking Stock.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average was created all the way back in 1896, and today, for the first time in the history of the financial markets, it is expected to close above 49,000. Yet another all-time high for the Dow, the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index, and the S&P 500 now just a whisker away from 7,000. Healthcare, materials, and technology stocks, those are your strongest performers in the S&P 500 today. 9 of the 11 sectors in positive territory for this history-making Tuesday, January 6th. Losses to the downside in the S&P, led by energy and telecom. That all sets the stage for the broadcast, and welcome to the show. You're watching Taking Stock. I'm your host today, JD Durkin. Mere moments away, my friends, from the ringing of the truly iconic closing bell here at the New York Stock Exchange. Volatility down, yields up slightly with the 10-year Treasury yield currently flat or so on this all-time high day. Gold and silver both up, not quite at their previous all-time highs, but they are getting closer. The crypto majors taking a bit of a breather. We'll talk a lot more about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and much more coming up in just a bit. Also catching a bid on this trading Tuesday, healthcare and biotech stocks led by UNH. We'll talk a lot more about United Healthcare in just a bit. Industrials off a strength of John Deere having one of their strongest sessions on Wall Street of the last few years, and the retailers in positive territory led by Macy's. The team from Gabelli set to do the honors for the close. They will also be on the show, but first, time now for the closing bell. And your final tail of the tape on this history-setting day here for Wall Street. The S&P 500 will finish up 0.6% to settle in at a fresh record 69.44. The Dow 30 components up almost 1%, settling in north of 49,000 for the first time in history. The New York Stock Exchange Composite Index up, let's call it 0.6, and the small caps having a very strong session, flipping in the session from negative to positive, up about 1.4. Advanced to declines telling us pretty positive breadth across the tape, strong leadership expansion, not just those handful of tech stocks or discretionary stocks doing the heavy lifting. More than 215 New York Stock Exchange listed companies reaching fresh 52-week highs here on this Tuesday. Let's say hello to a good friend of ours, Tim Anderson of TJM Investments. First time here on Taking Stock, but a very good personal friend of mine here on the trading floor. Great to have you here.
It's great to be with you on the second trading day of the year, and on quite a momentous day, as you just highlighted very well.
As you look up and you see this price action here, I was asking Peter Tuchman earlier, do you think we'll have a close for the S&P 500 of 7,000 first, or a close for the Dow of 50,000? Either way, obviously we had a lot of cash
just on the base of the percentages and where we are, where the S&P 500 is a little bit closer right now, but the Dow is up 500 points today. Another 500 points tomorrow would bring us right to 50,000. I hope Peter has those hats already printed up.
I have no doubt Peter's got those hats printed up. Are you surprised we clearly had this cash on the sidelines ready to be deployed as soon as the markets open for 2026 on Friday's session, which carried over into yesterday and here today?
There's always new cash at the beginning of the month and probably the beginning of the year. What we really don't know yet is how much all this action in Venezuela was a catalyst for this very strong move we have to start the year. Clearly, the energy stocks and oil stocks were very, very strong yesterday. Some of them gave back some of those gains, but they still have nice two-day gains. And when what you highlighted also was this rally today is not just tech. In fact, a lot of the names that drove the AI rally very strongly into the fourth quarter actually were red today, with people still taking some profits in some of the names that had very exaggerated gains in the second half of last year.
Yeah, a fair bit of rotation. We see materials to the top. Healthcare, that had been a big storyline in Q4 of last year. We have these kind of risk-off days where healthcare is actually jumping up to leadership, and it was in the leadership position again today. We are kicking off a new year, 2026. The IPO chatter is really picking back up. A very strong year, the best we've had in a few years in 2025. What are you looking for to give you some sense of confidence on newly listed companies in the 12 months ahead?
Look, we want to see quality companies come to the market that have definitely a track record already in their lifespan of revenue and earnings. We don't want to see companies coming to the market like we saw in late 98 and 99 with the internet bubble of companies that don't even have sales yet. So we want to see quality names coming to market. Those will be received very well by institutions and retail alike.
Tim, you for many years have been one of my favorite people down here in the NYSE community, just to kind of shoot the breeze with day to day. You and I talk a lot about the Fed. It's a new look Fed. Some new regional names are set to have their first votes of the year,
Sure.
but of course you got the governors and the people who've been there for a long time. What does a data-dependent Fed do, given the general dovish pressures and narrative surrounding the central bank?
Okay, so if you would, a week after the last meeting, I think the odds were against a cut at the end of January, very late in January, just because of the verbiage coming out of a lot of Fed officials. When they first came out of their quiet period, there were some Fed voting members that voted in favor of a cut that maybe really weren't in favor of a cut, but they didn't want the vote to be disruptive or show complete chaos among the Fed. But now we've had more data come out. Some of it was backed up from the government shutdown. Some of it was regularly scheduled. We're going to get more data on inflation and on jobs between now and the Fed meeting January 28th and 29th. And if we continue to see inflation data, like what we saw from the last PCE, where we came in at 2.7, that drifts into the mid-twos, and we don't get a lot of hiring, that's certainly a lot of Fed officials will be very strongly saying, look, the risk is with the job market, not with inflation.
Absolutely.
And that will support another cut.
Both sides of the dual mandate.
And I think we'll be there by the end of January.
We always say, I know you're not alone. A lot of investors think that as well. The great Tim Anderson at TJM Investments here at the big board. My man, thank you for being here. What a pleasure to have you.
Oh, it's great to be with you on a very active day.
And a history-making day, nonetheless.
Yes.
Josh will grab your microphone. Bobby, you and I are going to head for a walk this way. Excuse me, folks. We're going to pop right through with the Taking Stock broadcast if we can. Thank you. Time now to bring you, as I practice my backwards walking, the latest Poly Market odds as participants are trying to figure out who is going to be crowned the college football champion. That's right, Josh, this one's just for you. Indiana, 42% odds Indiana is going to win the college football playoff. 22% odds it is Oregon, 22% Miami, 14% it is Ole Miss. More than $5.5 million in total trade volume on this particular event contract. This Thursday we got Miami, Mississippi, Friday, Oregon, Indiana. The championship will be held Monday, January 19th in Miami. Time now to take a look at a few NYSE notables. Bobby, let's start with United Health Group. UNH was the worst performing name in the Dow in 2025. Don't tell that to UNH 2026 version, because it's actually the third best performing name in the index the first 3 trading days of the year, up almost 20% off of its pre-Thanksgiving lows. This week, analysts from Barclays raising their price target from 386 to 391, maintaining an overweight rating. UNH strong out of the gate so far here in the new year. And finally, let's take a look at the semiconductor ETF over here. This is XSD, up 4% today. This includes some of the most weighted household names that include names like Micron, NVIDIA, AMD, many others. XSD, after a strong session here today and a strong start to the year, only 4% off of its previous all-time highs from October. Cheddar's very own Chris Castellino sat down with leaders and tech entrepreneurs at CES in Las Vegas, Nevada. Here's everything you may have missed on the ground from Vegas.
CES 2026 is just getting started, and we're already seeing the latest trends emerging here at Unveiled, the official kickoff party of the week. So let's go inside and check out what everyone's talking about. AI and robotics both dominated the floor at CES 2025, and 2026 appears to be no different. Introducing Zeroth, a startup betting big on the future of miniature humanoids.
We're out of butter. Can you add it to the grocery list?
Of course. Now add it.
Their latest mini robot companion, the M1, is designed to be safer for families and ready for any household environment.
We want our robots to build the world's first humanoid robot that can be functional use in the family.
There's also a continued focus on digital health. Companies like YBrush are showcasing developments in personal dental technology. Their newest product, Halo, can simultaneously brush your entire mouth in just 20 seconds, while its AI sensors scan the chemical biomarkers in your breath to detect over 300 health conditions.
Because it's not only one biomarker, but several. We can say, okay, there are some signs of diabetes, of living disorders, of periodontal disease, but without, it's passive. You don't have to go to the doctor.
And it's not only health tech for humans taking center stage. AI Tales is extending AI care to our furry friends as well. The company's latest feeding and monitoring station studies your cat's facial expression, temperature, and eating and drinking patterns. It will then analyze these silent indicators and alert the owner of any potential disease and pain the cat might be experiencing.
For example, when my cat drank much more water, I was thinking that's a good sign, but this is a sign of kidney issues, for example. Also in the cat's face, for example, if the whiskers are crossed or if the mouth area is swollen, these are indication of pain.
Advanced AI continues to drive consumer tech inside the home as well. Take Robotin's R2. It's the world's first modular robot that actually washes and dries carpets. While the base station heats water for deep cleaning, the R2's AI-powered stain detector automatically adjusts the cleaning algorithm and intelligently washes problem spots repeatedly until they are dried and completely gone.
They can detect which area's carpet is more dirt. They will go on to wash it until it's completely clean.
Outside the home, BirdFee is building a community of tech-savvy birdwatchers. Their latest line of bird baths, feeders, and houses uses multiple 4K and 6K cameras for different viewing angles. And the company's proprietary AI birdwatching system can detect over 6,000 species of birds and can create highlight reels of birds based on your request.
We are trying to strengthen the connection between birds and human and one another. One of the clients telling me that after using our products, that she and her granddaughter are having better connection because now they have the topic to talk about.
And this is just the beginning of thousands of buzzworthy new products we'll discover over the course of the week here at CES. Reporting from Las Vegas, I'm Chris Castellino.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Time now for the latest headlines you need to know on this Trading Tuesday in the world of fintech, crypto, and artificial intelligence. First off, as we mentioned off the top of the show, the crypto majors kind of in mixed territory at this hour. Bitcoin selling off about 1.6% to the 92,000 level, which it's finally reclaimed. Ethereum and Solana both up fractionally at this hour. Next up, Morgan Stanley taking yet another step into digital assets, filing with the SEC for spot Bitcoin and Solana ETFs as crypto ETF trading volume tops $2 trillion. Yeah, trillion with a T dollars. All this comes after U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs saw nearly $700 million in net inflows in a single day on Monday, the largest total we've seen since October. Do not adjust your TV sets at home. This is, in fact, the one and only Scarlett Sieber here in person. Good friend of ours, Chief Strategy and Growth Officer, one of our great partners here at Money 2020. Welcome back to the floor. Thanks for being here in person.
I always love being by you, JD, so thank you for having me back.
Okay, I'm so excited to talk about this because legitimately I know very few of the details. What is the, and I quote, who in the F knows campaign, Scarlett?
It's a good question, JD, and you think about that. Yes, it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. F, of course, stands for fintech. Is there any other F word? I mean, you talked about fintech earlier, so really we sit here every year, we get thousands of submissions, and we think about what the future of fintech looks like. But what I found out is all of our content team had different answers, so this is just a play on who actually really knows what's going to happen, but they have their own opinions, so you'll see that.
Talk to me a bit more about what's in the name, and also what is the heart, the spirit of these types of submissions that you get at Money 2020 for anyone watching the interview who certainly familiar with it as an overall product but might not know the submission component?
Totally. Well, we have a global platform for events all over the world, and one of the things that's been so interesting is the fact that we get thousands and thousands of submissions from literally every part of this universe, world, whatever, to sit there and say, here's where the industry is going. We have a full team of content experts from different geos, and you think, okay, well, there's going to be some super obvious key trends. actually every single one of them had a different prediction for what 2026 looks like, and usually we're all going to be wrong anyways because this world moves fast. So it's a prediction, it sparks conversation, and that's what we're all about, is sparking conversations.
We love predictions, we love making projections, even if very few of them end up coming true as we start a new calendar year. What makes ultimately for a great submission or a great projection in the Money 2020 universe? Obviously you're tied so crucially not just to how finance is done today, but what the future of finance is. You've been doing this a long time. What makes for a great submission?
It's really about being bold, thinking about things differently, and tangible real-world use cases. So it's nice every now and then to have some of the bigwigs talk about theory and what this is going to look like 5-10 years from now, but the more specific and tangible we can be, that's where we're making some real traction. Some of the great data that you shared a few minutes ago is great examples of that.
Where can people go if they want to learn more, either about specifically what you're talking about or the amazing Money 2020 events you got planned for the year?
Sure. So money2020.com for everything for the Who the F Knows campaign. We got some really fun, a little bit cheeky predictions there. And then, of course, for the shows, we got shows all over the world. You've been with us for some of them. Obviously, some of the great teams. The NYSE has been with us. We've got our first show in Bangkok coming up in April. Then we go to Amsterdam in June, followed by Riyadh in September. And then, of course, back to Las Vegas in October.
Yeah, and we were there for the Las Vegas event. Of course, our viewers will know we had Taking Stock live on the ground. It was my first ever Money 2020 event, and I've thought about it every day since. Cannot wait to get back. The great Scarlett Sieber here in person at the big board. Happy New Year. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Don't go anywhere. Much more Taking Stock coming up after this quick break. Welcome back. Time now for the headlines you need to know on this Trading Tuesday in the world of startups, raises, and rounds. First up, the United States is set to award almost $3 billion to nuclear fuel makers, including names like Centrus Energy and startup General Matter. This as Washington, D.C. moves to meet AI data centers' ongoing demands for power. Next up, Chinese AI startup Minimax raising $530 million in its Hong Kong IPO, with heavy demand from global investors as Beijing-backed AI firms rush into the public markets. And finally, warehouse AI startup Cargo raising over $40 million in a Series B round led by Avenir. This as demand surges to automate loading docks and modernize supply chains using artificial intelligence. Our next guest joins us now down here on the trading floor. This is Chris Morangi. He is the co-CIO of Value at Gabelli. Thanks a lot for being here. You did the bell. You had an amazing group. It's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Very cool.
Can we start first and foremost, your experience ringing the closing bell? You had an amazing group down here. What does all this mean to be here at the
Well, there was a lot of
floor
pressure ringing that bell, but I started my career here 30-something years ago on Wall Street. It's great to kind of be back here in a different world, launching this fund. It's goals, Gabelli Opportunities in Live in Sports was born with the new year on Friday, just a few days ago. We're really excited about the theme. It's a theme we've been highlighting for a number of years. It's the secular tailwinds around live in sports.
Yeah, so while you and I talk, Bobby, here, let's take a look at this. This is ticker symbol GOLS that Chris was just referencing. What was not previously in the market that you feel this particular type of investment vehicle uniquely addresses?
Well, this is focused on those two themes, primarily sports. There are enough public sports assets today to make this possible, which wasn't true a few years ago. But you've got public teams, promoters and leagues like MSG, the Braves, Manchester United, and then other partners in that ecosystem, media partners and venue owners, et cetera, which we're going to own in this fund.
It's amazing when we talk about just how broken the landscape of media distribution is right now, and cable companies and spincos and all that. It always seems like live events and sports continues to be that crown jewel that so many of these massive media houses, they say, okay, maybe the other things we move around, but that's really what it's all about.
So seven of the top 10 programs last year were sports related, and that's only because there was an election last year. It would have been 10 out of 10, probably be 10 out of 10 this year. And the big tech companies have recognized that, and that's why you've seen Apple take up the Formula One rights, you've seen Netflix, Amazon, and others bid on sports rights, and that's going to be the future.
What is the bull case for the sports rights, general theme
the
and
theme
environment
is,
to continue
the
on?
theme is that sports teams have been excellent compounders of value over the last dozen years, have actually compounded about 15%. It's better than the S&P 500, believe it or not. And that's because they're scarce. They're actually really good businesses. Pricing power, low capital intensity, recurring revenue, all the things we look for in normal businesses.
Talk to me a little bit about your general 2026 outlook. You're a longtime Wall Street veteran. You've been around the block here in the best way possible for a long time. What is on your radar? We've got easing of interest rates, some general uncertainty, but hey, first 3 days of the new year,
They've been
we're
pretty
off and
good.
roaring.
And we were probably a little conservative last year, like a lot of other people, worried about tariffs and other things. This year you've got some extra tailwinds. $300 billion in incremental fiscal stimulus, obviously lower rates. That geopolitical question is going to remain out there. But the American economy is resilient. We think we get through it. And, stocks are a little expensive, but there are pockets of value, including in some of the smaller cap names in value where we're focused.
We saw a lot of retail investors in 2025. They were a bit more bullish when the institutional dollars back around March and April of last year when they pulled back. A lot of retail investors, they really like the AI trade. How important is it to diversify beyond simply the semiconductors and the splashy AI names that are so consolidated in the S&P?
Yeah, listen, AI is going to be the theme for however many years. It is a generational change in the way we do business, but it's going to be up and down. We'll have another DeepSeek moment, but that's why in April I was happy owning the Atlanta Braves Baseball Club, for example. This is in many ways the anti-AI play. Hard to replace those on-field players with AI.
Chris Marangi, co-CIO of Value at Gabelli, congratulations on the new products. Thanks a lot for being here. It's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Much more Taking Stock coming up after this quick break. Don't go anywhere.
we're here on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange for International Day. It brings together leaders and C-suite members from around the world to talk about innovation and growth for the future. And I'm pleased now to be joined by one of the key attendees, Amir Haramati. He's the co-founder and president of Iola. Amir, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Introduce our viewers to your company. What do they need to know about it?
At the end of the day, we're not trying to build technology for technology's sake. This is my 6th startup I'm involved with. And I don't like to call myself serial entrepreneur. I think that word has been washed down. I like to define myself as a serial problem solver. So it's about really real problem that make a difference, move the needle, and make an impact. And with everything that happened with AI in the last decade, which is incredible, I think we get a bit confused because AI tools are amazing, but despite the fact they are, they're still just tools. And then we realize the biggest challenge is data. And that's the reason we realize there's a huge opportunity to solve the data problem by voice.
Why is voice the most natural and powerful interface for human to machine interaction?
It's a great question. Speech or voice by far is the fastest way to get information. It's 3 times faster than anything else. It's in 1/3 of the time, you're actually capturing 3x amount of data. One day, God willing, your grandkid is going to find a keyboard in your garage. And you're going to say, Grandma Kristen, what is this? And you're going to struggle to explain that was a most creative way to communicate with machine by punching buttons, okay? So it's super clear that this is heady, but it's very challenging. So the question is super clear. The implementation is much more complicated.
Why are frontline manual processes the ideal proving ground for voice agentic transformation?
It's a great question. And actually, it's even, if I may, a bigger question, because at the end of the day, one of the struggles right now, or the complaints about the AI bubble, is the fact the cost of AI is so expensive and it's very difficult to retrieve and show ROI. Therefore, we believe, my mother always told me, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Try to keep that proportion. And at the end of the day, it's incredible what you're able to hear if you're willing to listen. So the key there is to go after the traditional enterprises that have many processes in place. And we believe that by doing that by speech, actually is going to make instant impact in ROI and will create data that previously was uncaptured and unstructured. So rather than build a technology that organization will have to adjust to, is to build a technology that here to adjust to the existing processes. And we're talking, Kristen, about 2 billion frontline employees this is applicable to.
Wow. What makes voice recognition challenging?
The concept is clear. I think we all agree on that, and everybody understands it's all about data, but a combination of languages, accents, acoustic environment, and above all, we learned that in every industry, in every company, in every location, there's a very specific jargon. Hence, it's very difficult in those settings to get to accuracy, which is good enough. So one, how you can do it in accuracy that close to 100% in any language, accent, acoustic environment, or jargon. And we did it in a very unique and proprietary and patented way. But even then, it's not enough. Because now we have great transcription, but how we separate the noise from the signal? How can we extract only what's relevant? So we built another technology, which is called keyword spotting, that separates the noise from the signal. But even that is not good enough, because at the end of the day, it's not speech to text as we know it. It's actually speech as highly unstructured data to highly structured data. So speech to data, speech to schema, speech to workflow, which is very difficult. And in a very honest and very modest way, we were able to do it.
Well, we are excited to have you here at the New York Stock Exchange. Amir, thank you so much for joining me here on the trading floor.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
A history-setting day here on Wall Street as several of the major market indexes closing for the tail of the tape at all-time high territory. Final tail of the tape on this trading Tuesday, the S&P 500 finishing up 0.6%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average 30 components finishing up 0.99%. And the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index also finishing up 0.6. All 3 of those major indexes finishing in record-setting territory. And don't forget about the small caps, not quite an all-time high, but having a very strong session, up 1.3%. The S&P 500 is now officially up 1.4% so far year to date. Imagine you extrapolated that over all of 2026. Those are some wild returns. Tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m., we will get the ADP private payrolls jobs print for the month of December. We will look to see in pre-market trading if investors have any type of knee-jerk reaction to those numbers when they cross the wire. At 10 a.m., ISM services data will give us a sense about the state of manufacturing and services economy. And we'll also hear comments later on in the day from Michelle Bowman. She is a shortlist candidate to replace Jerome Powell. She is currently Fed Vice Chair. Tomorrow morning, Wednesday, here at the Big Board, 9 a.m., NYSE TV Live and FinTech TV Live both count you down to the open. That's going to do it, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Woo! Yeah.